You are listening to the Why Smart Women podcast, the podcast that helps smart women work out why we repeatedly make the wrong decisions and how to make better ones. From relationships, career choices, finances, to faux fur jackets and kale smoothies. Every moment of every day, we're making decisions. Let's make them good ones. I'm your host, Annie McCubbin, and as a woman of a certain age, I've made my own share of really bad decisions. Not my husband. I don't mean him, though. I did go through some shockers to find him. And I wish this podcast had been around to save me from myself. This podcast will give you insights into the working of your own brain, which will blow your mind. I acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which I'm recording, and you are listening on this day. Always was, always will be, Aboriginal land. Well, hello smart women, and welcome back to the Why Smart Women podcast. Today I am broadcasting from DY, Sydney, New South Wales, Australia. It is the beginning of October, so we are in the middle of spring here, and it is a beautiful day. And later on I'll be going down to DY Beach and having a swim. Today I am joined by David.
Good morning.
Morning, how are you?
I'm very well. I'm not quite sure why I'm here today.
Because I've asked you to be.
Well, that's right. I don't know what we're going to talk about.
I do.
Okay.
So, interestingly enough, over the last couple of days, people have said to me, why are you podcasting and why are you doing the TikToks? And, because it is quite a time-consuming thing. And I had to really think about it. Why am I doing this? And then a couple of things have come across my feed in the last week, which have reconfirmed the importance of why we, of the skeptical debunking community, do what we do. So I thought we'd talk about those two things today. So the first is a story of a 27-year-old woman who died of starvation, which is astonishing, isn't it? In a Bali hotel room.
And is this the lady that ate the fruit?
Yeah. So at the time of her death, she weighed 22 kilos. I know. And she had been...
What?
Yeah. She had been following what they call a fruitarian diet. And a fruitarian diet is a very restrictive way of eating. And as you can tell by the name, you only eat fruit.
Did you say that she was 20...
She weighed 22 kilos.
That's impossible.
Yeah, I know, right?
22 kilos.
And when she checked in to the place in Bali, to the hotel, the staff noted that she was emaciated. So she had sunken eyes and protruding collarbones. And she'd grown so weak that one evening she had to be escorted back to her room by the night clerk. Now, the thing is that at the time of her death, she was suffering from osteoporosis and an albumin deficiency, which are both linked to prolonged nutrition. And she had a history of this. So in her teenage years, she'd already struggled with anorexia. And then when she was in the United Kingdom, she developed an interest in yoga and veganism, right? So we're just getting further and further in the restrictive eating. And then it eventually led her towards fruitarianism, a restrictive diet that relies almost entirely on raw fruit. So how do we get here? How do we get to the point where someone is so clearly unwell, and yet the online group, because there's plenty of them, that sort of restrictive eating, fruitarianism, veganism, right?
Yeah, the breatharians.
The breatharians, exactly.
I've got a story about the breatharians later.
Yep. What they do, these groups, is that as the person deteriorates, instead of saying to them, you look unwell, you look emaciated, what they do is say, man, your collarbones look amazing. You look extraordinary. She looked shocking. If you see pictures of her, she looks like she was in a concentration camp. And yet the online forum that she has been getting her information from have been supporting her in her quest.
You go, girl.
you go, you're doing the right thing.
Yeah.
And of course, the other voices around her, like her parents, who were clearly concerned, those voices don't get heard. So people get more and more and more and more and more down this rabbit hole of thinking.
Yeah.
And then clearly they can't climb out.
I mean, you were saying that that this lady had a history of anorexia.
Yeah.
And look, I'm no expert on it, but I believe that anorexia is actually, it's not just a physical condition, it's actually a mental illness.
Oh, 100%. And in fact, anorexia has the highest mortality rate of any mental illness. It's really serious. So, and it's quite prevalent. Well, here on the northern beaches of Sydney, New South Wales, Australia, anorexia is quite prevalent. So the thing is, where does it start? And how much of this can you lay at the feet of these online forums? And I reckon quite a lot.
Okay.
Because to our point around conspiracy theories, because it's all sort of in the same area, right? How do you get into this really unhelpful thinking? So like with conspiracy theories, if it was 30 years ago, you'd go down the pub and say, did you know the moon's, what is it? The moon's flat. No, what is it? The Earth's flat. Yes. And the moon landing's fake. So I was about to say the moon's flat. I got that confused. And then someone would go, you're a dick, John.
Yeah.
Right.
And well, they just say, don't be ridiculous.
Don't be ridiculous, John. But now you get on an online forum and there's going to be someone or a group of people that are going to support your thinking. So, but how do we get to this point where someone is so emaciated and so unwell that they can't see the reality and the danger of their situation? And where does it start? And as a society, because I think it's really serious. I was at the gym a couple of years ago and the girls were all involved in a very serious chat around only eating meat. That's all. Well, that's the Jordan Peterson thing, right? So you get celebrities.
Is that paleo?
Oh, way worse than paleo. This is just meat.
This is just meat. The carnivore diet.
The carnivore diet. You just eat meat.
Yep.
And then I keep seeing all these things online, you know, because for my sins, I'm plugged into these communities that tout some of these views. But the thing is, I think it starts quite in a small way, like with the idea that you should eat clean. What if I say to you, you should eat clean? What does that mean to you?
What does it mean? It means that I don't. First thought is I don't eat food with dirt in it. But what is the dirt?
It was that simple.
You know what's the dirt that we're talking about? We're talking about additives, pesticides, processed food. Yeah. So processed
dairy
food
is not clean.
Dairy's not clean.
No.
Because it's I mean I
don't know. It's not clean though. I don't know. You're just not meant to eat dairy.
Okay.
And for a very long time, I know when I had that parathyroid tumour and no one knew it was wrong with me, and I went to 77 alternative health practitioners, which is what started me on the anti-alt med journey, was there was immediately they would tell me to stop eating gluten, dairy, coffee.
Oh, you couldn't drink coffee?
No.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
Gluten, dairy, coffee, carbs, grains. There was a thing for a while that grains, they called it grain brain. You shouldn't eat grains. Mm-hmm. So there's always been this obsession with diet. And I think the clean eating movement, which is fundamentally don't eat anything processed, which is a heap of rubbish. It's also very entitled. It's a very entitled place to live. If you're only going to eat, you're only going to eat organic and you're not going to eat processed, you'd have to spend all day growing your own vegetables, raising your own poultry, presumably killing your own cow, but then not milking it.
Or buying it from the organic store at about four times
the price, pointlessly.
What you get at Woolies. So if we're talking about anorexia, then it's kind of opening the book on mental illness.
Yes, it is.
And I guess I want to kind of call that out or acknowledge it or work out whether we're referring to that.
In our environment, I know when our children were at high school, there was anorexia aplenty.
Yeah, okay.
Right? In the high school. There was loads of anorexia, right? So, and we acknowledge that anorexia is a very, very difficult condition to treat.
And what makes it even more difficult, as I understand it, is that when the person in question deprives themselves of food and calories, then there is damage that is done in the brain where they can no longer actually think rationally.
Clearly, well, you're deprived of calories and it makes your thinking really irrational. Yeah.
And you also said that anorexia is the biggest killer of the available options that there are around having mental illness.
It has a high mortality rate.
It has a high mortality rate, and what is completely confounding for the people surrounding the patient is this question of why can't they just eat something?
Yeah, that's right.
Clearly,
the irrationality.
That's right. You're going in a direction, and it is a direction that has only one ending, and that is death. And you could turn that around by eating something, and why don't you do it? And the big challenge, I believe, is that when people have that condition, they actually can't think clearly. They can't think critically.
Look, this is where it ends up, though. And I guess what I'm more interested in is where does it start?
Okay, how we get there.
Because we are not specialists. We do not treat people that have anorexia. We do know, as I said, my children, when they're at school, our children, there was a lot of it in the environment. And it's more around this disordered eating and how we end up with these extreme conditions like anorexia, like
bulimia,
fruitarianism, like extreme veganism. How do we end up in these places where people are indulging in very, very disordered eating? And my opinion is it starts small, and it starts with opinions that are posited by people that know fucking nothing and are on the internet. There was one yesterday on the internet. For some reason, seed oils are now the work of the devil. Yo-yo, shush.
Yo-yo's unhappy about the mention of seed oils.
Did you not like us talking about seed oils? Yeah. Well, apparently... Yeah, it's okay. She's on the podcast, aren't you, darling? Seed oils are now the work of the devil. And there was a thing yesterday, absolutely this. And she's an American, so they sound really certain. Americans, they're just super certain. And she was like, okay, you've got cellulite. There was no cellulite before 1970, right? Cellulite has now appeared in our bodies because of seed oils. And then she had some wacky...
What are seed oils?
Seed oils are fats extracted from the seeds of various plants.
Like flaxseed oil?
And primarily comprise what is commonly labelled as vegetable oil, right? So...
like sunflower oil?
So like...
Sunflower seeds, crush the seeds,
Canola, sunflower, soybean, corn, safflower, grapeseed, peanut and cottonseed.
Sounds like a recipe for cellulite.
That's right. So at the moment... Let's just say, and maybe we think it's quite an innocent thing, but all over the internet there are people going, don't eat seed oils.
Yeah.
There's actually people in America that will go into a restaurant and start complaining and demanding that their food is not cooked in seed oils. Now, there's no scientific evidence that seed oils are bad at all.
Yep.
But this idea of seed oils then spreads and disseminates through the online community, gets into our community, gets translated into people will then go to the supermarket, not buy a seed oil, talk to their friends, and we're in this situation where seed oils are dangerous when they're actually not.
Yeah.
But the voices that spread this stuff are certain and they're vociferous. So, go.
And they're convincing.
Very convincing.
And I think I've got a bit of a hypothesis about where it begins.
Go.
Because a lot of people are exposed to these stories about, seed oils and that
absolutely,
and that the body fat hates pink salt, so have more pink salt and
pink Himalayan pink salt.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh my God.
So all of that stuff is out there, and not everybody is taken in the same way. If everybody is taken in the same way, then we'd have a lot more anorexia, we'd have a lot more bulimia, right? So it's not everybody. It is some people who are actually, you might even say, vulnerable. Vulnerable. It's almost like their immunity, their immune system is weak when it comes around to the critical thinking. And this information comes in. So this information comes in.
Yeah.
Now, one thing that I have come to recognise in so many of the stories that I have, come across, been part of, when somebody has been affected with disordered eating, is that there is a sense of personal power that they latch onto, which says, no one can tell me what I put in my mouth, right? No one can tell me to eat seed oil, or no one can tell me, to eat
processed
food, or,
So I'm in
eggs,
control. I'm in control.
So I'm in control.
Yeah.
And my thesis, and again, forgive me, I'm ignorant about all of this. My area of expertise is seeing how people create drama for themselves, right? And so, what is it that people latch onto? What do they hold? What do they believe? What do they fight for in relationships that are sometimes not in their best interests? Why do some people create drama when winning that particular drama is actually really bad for them? And I think that in some relationships, daughters with their mothers, sons with their fathers, that they'll get an idea that, okay,
husbands and wives,
yeah. Okay, veganism. I'm going to be a vegan. And then the whole family is then affected by that decision.
Oh, yeah.
So mum says,
there's
look,
some power. There's some power in it. Yeah, true.
I'm making a bolognese sauce tonight. Can't you just eat the bolognese sauce tonight?
I can't.
Yeah. You're not taking me seriously. You're not taking my beliefs and blah, 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 blah seriously. Now, it could be that is absolutely certain. That's absolutely true.
What's true?
That it is a deeply held, ethical position that somebody holds, that they're not, that they're not going to ever eat animals ever again. It could be that.
It could be that.
What it feels like to me is that it's just one of many instances where you have an individual who gets to assert their power in the world by saying, no, I'm not going to eat that.
Yeah, and maybe if you feel powerless in other areas,
then
it's quite nice to at least I can control that. And of course, the issue is that the validity of the choice in the first place is often wrong. So, for instance, if you at all follow dietary advice, as I do, I follow it for prurient interest. I don't take it, of course. They will tell you to stay away from seed oils. But you can have coconut oil. Coconut oil is just apparently amazing for you.
Yeah.
And everyone's drinking coconut water. I don't know why, but they are. Anyway.
I like coconut water.
Why?
If it's cold.
Yeah.
I don't much like it unless it's absolutely freezing. But when it's freezing, I find it quite refreshing.
Oh, okay. No, fair enough. So the thing is that there's now a juxtaposition. Seed oil's bad. Coconut oil, good.
Good.
Right? Coconut oil. And then in...
coconut oil?
What? Where have you been? Under a rock? Everyone talks about it. They're constantly rubbing it on the inside of their mouths, putting it in everything.
Ah, right.
Coconut oil.
Oh, yeah, and there's that special coconut oil that's got a certain kind of something omega-3 in it, so it's
apparently amazing for you.
Yeah, that's right.
So into the fray.
Yeah.
Into this online fray and this sort of cultural... stoush between, say, seed oils and coconut oil, say, comes the Heart Foundation here in Australia.
Okay.
Now, the Heart Foundation will tell you that to absolutely avoid coconut oil, palm oil and butter, guess why?
Because it's got a lot of fat in it.
Saturated fat. As I've told you repeatedly and you ignore me. And to eat extra virgin olive oil, canola oil, sunflower oil, which is the seed oil, peanut oil and avocado oil. These oils contain healthy fats and are suitable for most types of cooking, right? Now then what happens? So you get sort of some science enters the fray.
Yeah.
And then what happens is people go, because now we've got all this sort of don't trust the government, don't trust big government, don't trust big pharma. So they enter the fray and everyone goes, well, why would you listen to the Heart Foundation?
Okay, so that sounds like pseudoscience has entered the fray, not science.
Well, science, Heart Foundation is science.
At the core of the positions that the Heart Foundation takes is science.
Yeah,
and
the rest of it's pseudoscience.
It is understood because the people who are describing the behaviour of these particular fats in the body, etc. They are scientists.
Yeah.
I think whenever scientific narratives fall into the mouths of people who are actually not scientists, then it's going to be distorted. Scientific method is create a hypothesis and then try to prove yourself wrong.
So what are you saying?
So what I'm saying, I don't know, maybe I'm just being too precise around the language. You said science enters the fray.
It does in the form of Heart Foundation, but we don't trust the science. We want to go towards people who just sound certain and tell us something that sounds more interesting and definitive.
It sounds
and
interesting.
Maybe I won't get any more cellulite because I'm rubbing coconut oil on it. I don't know.
Yeah. But what I'm suggesting to you is that particular that when that dynamic emerges, right, it doesn't just emerge for the person who is then going to stop eating seed oils or become a vegan. It becomes part of their relationship with the people who are around them, with whom they want to assert their own independence. So it actually becomes a status battle, and in this instance, it's a status battle around food. Other people find ways of having status battles, the need to be right around other things.
Yeah, so what I'm saying is that there's this, I don't know what you're saying. So you're saying science comes in, gives the actual facts around it, which is don't eat coconut oil, don't eat butter instead. And then the person goes, no, I'd rather listen to this person on the internet over here, an influencer that's saying, no, don't eat seed oils because they give you cellulite and they screw your brain or wreck your hormones.
Yeah, I have the right to choose my influencers.
Yeah, that's right. So, and then you get into the area of false equivalence. So you've got the Heart Foundation.
Yep.
Right. Scientists.
Who are generally,
who actually will test their own hypothesis.
Yep.
And then you've got people that are just, getting a kernel of information and then sounding super certain. Like, I only eat meat.
Yes.
I will only eat meat because vegetables, I've heard this as well, are really toxic.
And so this
out.
So this is the thing. It seems to us very obvious that there's a hidden agenda, right? Some people will say only eat these kind of modified coconut oils, probably because they have a business that makes money out of it.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. But then the result of this, so you've got these people that are touting this nonsense, and the end result of it is tragically a beautiful 27-year-old girl who has lost her life in a hotel room in Bali because of the lies that are being told by people who are probably selling something. At the original point, they're probably selling something. We know that most alt med practitioners are selling supplements.
Yeah, and if they're not selling something directly, then they are selling something by degree. The monetization of their influencer channels.
Exactly. And the more sort of, the more definitive you are, the more you're floating around in some sort of, unwashed linen, with sandaled feet and a bracelet on your left ankle, with your tan skin, standing on the end of a jetty, chewing on a raw chop with some liver. They really like eating raw liver and bigs of butter.
You're talking about Liver King.
No, this is thin, weirdly, those sort of smooth-skinned women that do it as well. It's just everywhere. But the problem is, it's a problem. It's a big problem. And how do we counter it? Because people die. And it's unfair that she was obviously vulnerable. She obviously had terrible disordered eating. And then she gets into this, and I do have issues with the yoga communities. Some of them are great. Some of the yoga communities are great.
Yeah.
Some of them start to tout some really dangerous views. And often in these communities arises this clean eating, spiritually enlightened, keep your, there's philosophies around it that are really, really dangerous. And I have issues with that as well. So what do we do? What do we do so that we can start to... Sorry, do you want to go back to the yoga thing that I don't like?
No. I am interested in the question of what do we do?
What do we do?
What do we do?
I do this. I do this podcast.
Yeah, okay. But, who are you talking about? Are you talking about the person at the centre of the story, which is, what happens when we notice that we start to get, seduced by...
No, because the girl in the hotel room...
Yeah.
She's the end of the story.
Okay.
She's the end of the narrative. She's just before the full stop.
Okay. So...
Somewhere way, way back, that's where it started. Now, we don't know about her childhood. We don't know why... they don't really know why people develop anorexia, except that it is very, very It is very, very exacerbated by online forums. We absolutely know that.
Yeah.
And the objectification of women and the fact that women need to look really thin. And we know that.
Yeah, okay. But you say, what do we do?
What do we do?
Who's we in your question? Are you talking about the person? Are you talking about the family of the people? Are we talking about the wider society around them?
I'm talking... No, because I don't know that person. I don't know about her, the dynamic of her family.
Okay, so you're not talking about the patient.
She's the end result.
Right. So when you say, what do we do?
As a society.
What do we do as a society?
Yeah, what do we do?
Okay.
How do we just start to counter these dangerous views? And in my mind, it's around the fact that we don't even get... as a society, as a culture, how truly dangerous these opinions are, and how they can start off very, very small. As to my point, by the word clean.
Yeah.
Eat clean.
And I can't get away from the thought process that says that a lot of people are exposed to these lies, these distortions. They're exposed to the potential to be exploited.
Yeah.
But not everybody is.
Correct.
And
that is correct.
So perhaps to
I
answer,
am not.
Yeah, to answer your question, what can we as a society do is that we can help people to understand how they will sometimes grab hold of something and take ownership of it, like a self-destructing, disordered eating plan approach. They will take that and they will actually internalize it, and they will plant the seed within themselves, and they will water that seed, and they will grow a perspective, a distorted perspective, in order that they have power.
Yes,
in the relationships that they have. No, that's the thing that I think people don't know. People think that disordered eating is about disordered eating, when actually I think it's about about what happens to the person who is susceptible to it.
Yeah, but we can't. There's always been vulnerable people, haven't there?
And for all the vulnerable people who've been in the world, there've been people lining up to take advantage of
True.
them.
There's always been snake oil salesmen, right?
Yeah.
That, from day dot. Someone has been trying to sell someone.
Yeah.
Someone has been trying to sell someone else something.
Yes.
That has no efficacy.
That's right.
It's old as time.
Or not only that it has no efficacy, but it could actually do damage.
It could do damage.
One of the oldest stories in the book is Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden.
You're back at the Bible. How did we get into the Bible?
No. I was talking about this from a Quranic perspective. Because there is an Adam and Eve in the in Islamic religion as well.
Go into religion?
Well, I'm just saying it's the old story, right?
Oh, but what about...
It's the old story of, here's the apple, eat this apple, and you will become enlightened. And actually, there was a bit of a mistake made.
Yeah. And we know, there's just... endless pictures from the last century and the century before of people selling stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like what?
Well, people literally snake oil.
Literally. Snake
oil is an oil.
Yep.
Presumably made out of a snake or parts of a snake that was supposed to do something good for you.
Exactly.
The mystic, we saw on a television show the other night, the mystics that were travelling around the world in the late 19th century saying that they could communicate with the dead.
Oh, yeah. And they're still out there.
And they are still out there.
And so I guess we always arrive back sort of at the same point, is that people are not armed with critical thinking.
Yeah.
Because if they were armed with critical thinking, then they would see something online that said, eat clean, don't eat seed oil, do eat coconut oil, or whatever, or only eat raw meat, or don't eat gluten. I mean, the gluten thing is nuts. The amount of people that don't eat bread because it's got gluten is nuts when they're not celiac. I mean, it's mental. But it gets a life of its own. It's like matcha.
That's right. People get to commercialise it.
Yeah.
You've got the whole, the gluten-free aisle, the gluten-free shelf.
And apparently matcha, you drink too much matcha tea and it's actually quite bad for you but it's got the health halo over it.
Oh, yeah, because it's just tea and it's...
green.
It's green tea and it's
in everything.
Slow-acting caffeine.
Yeah, you can get matcha everything now, but apparently it's not that good for you and you've got to be very careful about your consumption. But it's got the health halo. So much has the health halo. Fruitarianism would have had the health halo. It sounds right? You want to be thin, you want to be healthy, so you're only going to eat fruit. I mean, there's a ring to it, isn't there?
Yeah, and there was the extreme case of the breatharians.
Tell me about the breatharians.
And the breatharians was an order that basically said that human beings could live on just breath.
Yeah, it makes sense.
A little bit of water with a little bit of lemon juice or something like that, but that was it, no food.
That's right. There were those girls that died in a tent in Scotland. Yo, excuse me, you've never been to Scotland.
Anyway, so that was the breatharian approach. The cult was led by a gentleman who was profiting from his position as the head of the breatharians, but they followed him one day, and he went into McDonald's and was buying cheeseburgers or something like that. So yes. There are many stories of people who will exploit the vulnerable. And so your question, how do we as a society stop that from happening? Well,
it really upset me, the story of that girl. It's so unnecessary.
I know.
Her parents must have just been beside themselves, the poor things.
Yeah.
So we can't stop the horse is bolted, the horse is out, right? In terms of misinformation and disinformation on the internet. We can't get it back now, can we? It's gone. It's happened. And it's just a big pile on now.
Okay, so what you're doing with the podcast is you're helping people to be able to examine their thinking so that if they do want to take something on, if they do want to take a new exercise regime on or a new dietary plan or a new relationship on, what you want them to do is to look at it critically and to ask, is this in my best interest?
Yeah, and look for some scientific studies.
Look for some scientific studies. And I guess the thing that I'm adding to that, and perhaps you do this implicitly anyway, is to notice what power does embracing disordered eating, or, the list, what power does that give me in my primary relationships? If eating clean makes me a special one at the dinner table, and I get power because of that, if I get power from that and I recognise it, then ideally you'd go, okay, well maybe I'm excited about this clean eating thing because it helps me to get one up over mum or my brothers and sisters.
And also the thing is, it's all of it is in service of being thin. All of it is in service of women. Because it's mainly women that do the clean eating. Because
when a woman is thin, what does she have more of?
Attention. What?
Yeah, more attention.
Yeah.
Which gives someone a sense of power.
And you're fitting into a norm, right? So, yeah, look, I would advise anybody who listens to this podcast to really apply a critical eye to any claim, any nutritional claim that is made, any claim about a supplement that is made, any claim at all which has a large promise to it, because we know that one thing that you eat or one thing that you drink or one thing that you take cannot possibly give you all the benefits and the results that generally they promise. So if something has a very broad promise to it, that's when you start the process of going, hang on, it's going to make me thin, it's going to balance my hormones, it's going to balance my energy, it's going to boost my immune system, it's going to help my cardiovascular health, I'm going to have no cellulite and I'm just going to be amazing and my skin's going to be super clear and it's going to restore the elasticity and my joints won't hurt. If it says that, it's probably a heap of crap. Right. So, interestingly enough, I just did this TikTok on alkaline water, which is very, very popular because there's this perception that Sydney drinking water is somehow dangerous and full of heavy metals, which is just, it is the safest drinking water.
Yeah, Sydney water's great.
Like, go to Bali, go to India, go to somewhere where you've genuinely got a problem. But this middle class entitled notion that we have to drink special water. Anyway, that TikTok I did had over 10,000 views. And I think it's because people actually are interested in countering some of these myths. So that's all I really wanted to say this week. I feel terrible about her, and so I think we should say her name because I feel bad for her and bad for her family. Her name was Carolina Kryzak. Yep. So she's not going home to her family, and they're going to mourn her forever because somehow someone somewhere started to tell her a lie, and the lie never got stopped. And we, as a community of people that believe in critical thinking, we have to really start countering these myths because it's dangerous. And that's what I want to say. David, anything else?
Yeah, and the other, it's that other dimension that's got me thinking this morning. Yes, if it sounds too good to be true, then it probably isn't true. That's the misinformation that we need to deal with. But perhaps we can also help people understand their attraction to misinformation.
Yeah, sure.
And if that
it's a good point. It's a really good point.
If that attraction gives them something, then they will go further and faster in that direction.
Yeah, 100%.
And it's not just about disordered eating. It's also about what people do with their finances.
It's also about conspiracy thinking.
It's also about conspiracy thinking. It's
very
what people
big
do with their
100%.
It's all of those things. So if the promise of something new is starting to trigger a thought process, which is, I'll be able to achieve so much more, or I will have, more power in this relationship.
I don't think people think that. I think that's unconscious.
Okay.
People are not going to think I'll have more power. They're just going to think I'm going to look great and everyone will want to be like me.
Okay, well, that sounds...
And no one's going to tell me what to do.
Okay, and all of those things,
they
seem to be the downstream benefits. The downstream benefit of those things is that you have more power.
Yeah, but they don't know. That's unconscious. They're unaware of that, right? Let's try and bring it into the consciousness. Correct.
So I guess I'm suggesting that people bring into the conscious the power dynamics that get altered when they take on board.
Yeah. True. Good point.
Untrue information.
I thought my finish was better than yours,
okay.
But I'm going to leave it in. I'm going to leave it in because I'm very egalitarian. Thanks for your time today, David.
You're welcome. I hope I contributed something.
Thank you, Harrison. Thank you, Yo-Yo, for barking pointlessly through that. Yo-Yo, Ryder has been a good boy because he's been for a run this morning, so he's now having a rest. So thank you so much for tuning in, listeners. Wherever you are in the world, stay safe, stay well, keep your critical thinking hats on. See you later. Bye. Thanks for tuning in to Why Smart Women with me, Annie McCubbin. I hope today's episode has ignited your curiosity and left you feeling inspired by my anti-motivational style. Join me next time as we continue to unravel the fascinating layers of our brains and develop ways to sort out the fact from the fiction and the over 6,000 thoughts we have in the course of every day. Remember, intelligence isn't enough. You can be as smart as paint, but it's not just about what you know, it's about how you think. And in all this talk of whether or not you can trust your gut, if you ever feel unsafe, whether it's in the street, at work, in a car park, in a bar, or in your own home, please respect that gut feeling. Staying safe needs to be our primary objective. We can build better lives, but we have to stay safe to do that. And don't forget to subscribe, rate and review the podcast and share it with your fellow smart women and allies. Together, we're hopefully reshaping the narrative around women and making better decisions. So until next time, stay sharp, stay savvy, and keep your critical thinking hat shiny. This is Annie McCubbin signing off from Why Smart Women. See you later. This episode was produced by Harrison Hess. It was executive produced and written by me, Annie McCubbin.